All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business. Okay, welcome to the podcast, Lauren. Our internet's a little glitchy today, so hopefully it doesn't affect our listeners listening. So my apologies, I'm at the cottage. Let's dive right in, though. I want you to just introduce yourself to our listeners today.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Lauren Winsor, and I am the owner of House of Windsor Interiors. House of Windsor does full service interior design with construction management in Rhode Island.
I love it. I love that you're in Rhode Island. I also love, for those on YouTube, you can see Lauren's beautiful backdrop. Excuse me. With the flag. I love how patriotic it is. It's so American. I love it.
Yeah,
Rhode
well,
Island
it's
is
the
on my
Olympics
list.
too.
That's
This is
true.
the time to
We are recording
come.
this. Yes, the Olympics are happening right now. I love that. Okay, we have so much to talk about today. First of all, I just love how willing you are to show up and share and raise your hand. And I got to know you a little bit during Power of Process. I'm excited for others to get to know you today. Why don't you just let us know maybe the beginnings? Because you didn't always do interior design. You didn't pop out of school and say, I'm going to be a designer. What was that path like for you?
Sure, that's a great question. So, my background is in business and art history. I've always been very creative. But out of school, I ended up working in the nonprofit world for about 10 years, variety of different sectors. I was in the arts, in private school, and also my last role was fundraising at a hospital. And so I ended up taking some time off to be home with my kids. And then when I was time to go back to work, I was just my husband came home and told me like, "Oh, they're hiring down at the bank." And I was just like, "I can't do this. No way. I have to follow my passion." So I put it out there on I think it's Facebook that I'm starting my interior design business, and then I just had to stay accountable to that.
Whoa, that's amazing. You were like, I've been home with the kids. This is so okay. This is why I love these shorty episodes. I love these stories because so many women that I talk to went through this same sort of transition, right? You're working, you're career driven, you're in a career, in a job, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to have kids. So maybe take a step down, and then things shift for you, right? And it's like, wait a minute, I don't think I want that world anymore. And I love that you
Mhm.
were just like, nope. And you trusted what sounds like your intuition. Like your body
Yeah,
was like, ugh, work at the bank and fundraising, ugh, or whatever it was. Like, no,
exactly.
thank you. So did you have
Yeah.
any experience with interior design?
Yeah, so I grew up with a mother who was a designer and an antique dealer. So I had a pretty significant move as a teenager and had a tough time acclimating and making friends. So I spent a lot of time with my mom, helping her on her projects, doing a lot of antiques with her. And then I have the art history background. So I feel like those two paired together, I really have knowledge about color and fabrics, history of furniture. But the other key thing too is I had done two large renovations in my own homes. One was a house we had back in Massachusetts, and then when we moved to Rhode Island, I did one here. I started doing big projects like kitchens and bathrooms for friends and family. And then when people I didn't know, like friends of friends, started asking my help, that kind of gave me the confidence to think like, wow, I must be doing something good here. I'm going to give it a try.
That's awesome. I love that. So you were doing it, you were sort of dabbling in it for yourself, and it was kind of like a slow grow. And that's when you realized, okay,
Mhm.
this is more my speed. So you launched your business, I believe, in 2022. Is that correct?
Yeah, at the end of 2022.
So that at
Mhm.
the time of recording is just under 2 years. I think it's
Mhm.
amazing. Do you ever give yourself a pat on the back to look at how far you've come, Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought like, oh, maybe this isn't going to work out and then I'll have to try something else. But I honestly think that some of the key things I did early on, like taking power of process, really set me up to be where I am now. And I still consider myself pretty green, still learning in a lot of different ways. I mean, I think we're always students and learning and growing, but you know, I'm not near closing down. If anything, I'm growing still. So it's
I love
exciting.
that. And let's talk about that. I want to talk about power of process because
Mm.
it sounds like you started your business and you were like, you'd never run a design firm before, but you've been helping people with projects. What did that look like? Was there something you felt like was missing? Like, what made you decide to take the course?
So I actually took the course when I was in the middle of what I would call like my unicorn project. I was very, very fortunate to do a lot of networking in the beginning of starting my business and very quickly got set up with a project that is totally in my wheelhouse and really like the key project that I look for in my business, where it was a beach house that was being fully renovated. The family did not save even a fork. And they needed somebody there because they're out of state to manage their project. So I was able to jump right in, and I guess in that process realized like, wow, I don't know a lot about what is going on here. You know, I had done projects on my own, but it's really different to do them for someone else. And so I honestly think it was like an Instagram ad or something. And I heard you talking, Rebecca. I hadn't even listened to your podcast yet. And I was like, yes, I need something like this. And I signed up like immediately. And then the rest is kind of history. I just loved the course.
Okay. Can we just have a moment? Like,
Yeah.
hello, dream job. First of all, your client,
Yes,
and I love that you wrote, I actually wrote that down. I'm like, the family didn't even keep a fork. Like,
they
I love, they
didn't.
didn't even save anything. Like, you were
They didn't. They
instructed to do
trashed
it
it
all.
all. They trashed it all. I mean, and I got to do a really concierge level service for them, which I have adopted to other projects now. Like, I made their beds, I stocked their fridge, I did a ton for them. But that was exactly what they were looking for because they didn't live here and they didn't know what was going on. And we had a wonderful builder, but communication with them and taking video and picture, it wasn't really his style. So they needed me.
Your internet, my
Yeah.
shoddy cottage internet. I love that was, I think this is interesting, Lauren, actually. I'm so excited. I didn't really know this about your story
Yeah.
because I can really resonate it with that. I worked for a designer that did these incredible projects where we were literally purchasing the cutlery, we were steaming the sheets, we were
Mhm.
buying Tupperware for the babies. Like we literally stocked all the drawers and shelves, but we didn't have systems or process. It was super chaotic. It was extremely stressful. So I'm curious for you, because someone listening might be like, oh my gosh, why did you need to take POP or POP? You already had these incredible projects. Like, what was it that you
Yeah.
felt was missing?
That's a great question. So, I think I was incredibly lucky to get this project right off the bat. But what I realized is I want to do more of this. I love this. I want to replicate it. And I didn't have the processes or systems in place to do that or even communicate about myself and what my key offerings were. In my first year, I was doing everything that came my way and making all sorts of mistakes, not charging for consultations and really just kind of like keeping, notes on sticky pads around my office. I was like, I need to get organized, and that's one of the things I'm great about is organization. So taking power of process just really put Rebecca's like tried and true system into place for me, and I seriously just gobbled it up. I probably do every single thing that you recommended, Rebecca.
I love it.
And but it works, so why not? Why recreate the wheel when you've already done it?
I love that. It's so true. It's like, I mean, oh man, if I'd had something like this when I started, I mean, I hired business coaches, but if someone could just give me a blueprint, it's a
Mhm.
starting place. Like you're going to take it and tweak it and make it your own. Obviously, we're all individually unique, always say, there is no one way, there's no one size all to running a design firm. There's one way to do things. You can find someone's way. What I would love to hear then, I guess, is what's changed? So you took Power of Process. What systems did you
Mhm.
find made a big difference in your business, and where is it sort of taking you now?
Totally. Well, I mean, really going through the course, I tried to keep up with the pace of it at first because everything was so new to me and I just like couldn't wait to get to the end to learn the whole picture. And then really I spent the next 6 months implementing all of the little things that we talked about in the course. So whether that be my client facing documents, just my contract, developing my process, even having a pitch deck for my design consultations, and now I have one for my builders. Really, I just took all of the little lessons, and I'm still, returning to them and refining them to apply them to my business.
I love that. I love that you say that you stayed with the course. It's 6 weeks, right? So
Hmm.
it's a long time, but it's a short time, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and there's a lot of information, especially if you're new.
Tons and tons of information. I'm kind of old school and I kept like a handwritten notebook and I like with all my notes that
I
whole
love it.
time. And so I'll really like, return to it because we did like exercises like coming up with your ideal client and all sorts of things. When sometimes when something flashy comes across my screen, like, oh, an advertising opportunity, I really return to some of that work to say, like, does this make sense for my business? Would my ideal client read this magazine or whatever it might be, to help guide my direction?
Oh my God, I love it. You're like a gold star student.
Yeah,
I
well,
love
I
it.
drink the Kool-Aid, let's say that.
I love it. I love it. It's amazing. So let's talk about, there's one thing that I think would be really helpful before we round out our time together is just to talk about getting clients, because
Mhm.
I know what, like, there's probably people listening right now who are like, well, that's really great. Lauren, I always have this idea of, I don't know who this person is. Is it a Karen? Is it a Susie? And they're like, well, good for Lauren. She already had, I know someone's thinking this because I would have thought this. She already had the dream project. Obviously, she had the money, she had the financial means to take a course. She was already getting clients, so she didn't have to worry about that. What would you say to that designer who's like, I would love to do Power of Process, but like I need clients? Like, what's your best tip?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really great question. So, I shared how I kind of like announced on a whim that I was going to do interior design. And that was in October. And I will tell you, I didn't get that big project I talked about until January. And, that's really a pretty short time, but I wouldn't have gotten that without a lot of networking that I did in those first 3 or 4 months. And that I continue to do. So one of the big things I had done was we had moved into our home and renovated a part of it. And what I did was I invited my realtor who had sold me the house back over to my house on a day where I had like cleaned like a madwoman after my kids were at school. And I baked her, like banana bread and we had a cup of coffee and I just had a conversation with her about what I had done at the house and she had seen it before and then got to see the after. And I asked her to help connect me to any other realtors or builders or others that she knew in the industry and said, this is really what I'm looking to do. How might you help me? And she connected me to a man who built her home. And within, I would say, the next couple of months, I was meeting with him and then his clients to get that job. So yes, I was in a good position, but I wasn't, it wasn't handed to me. I had had this meeting with her and it was months later that I actually got the job. And in the meantime, I was still um, getting out there, talking about my work, talking about my business, meeting people. And it's something I still try to do once a week, actually. I have a goal of meeting with either a vendor, a builder, an architect, or a realtor at least once a week in my business.
Okay, I love that. Love, love, love that. I feel like this
Mhm.
is a whole other podcast we're gonna have to record
Yeah,
because I feel like you have so many good tips. I love that you did
thanks.
that, guys listening. you can do this even in a client home, right? Like you could invite a realtor or do some kind of an open house and bring people into a home that you've done for clients. But I love that you did your place.
Yeah.
Such a brilliant way to get work. And what I like that you shared there, Lauren, is you asked her. You didn't make an assumption that I'm going to show her my beautiful home and then she's probably going to refer me. No, you sat down and was like,
I
listen,
asked her.
I need your help. Who
Yep.
can you introduce me to? Who can you and like, but you that just goes to show, and I'm number one person to be shy and afraid to ask for the thing that I want. So I think this is a really great reminder. Do you keep track of these leads? Like, how do you, like, once a week is
Yeah.
a lot, or not leads, sorry, networking. Like, I feel like I keep talking about doing something like that. Like, what is your system? How do you remember who you've reached out to and who you haven't?
Yeah, well, the thing is, meeting with somebody just once might not be enough, especially if it's a builder or actually who I didn't mention here, who's a big part of my connections, or I meet with other designers locally. After doing POP, I was so energized with the community that I found there. And I made a lot of friends, but none of them happened to live near me. So I reached out to some others who now we get together regularly and just kind of talk about our local landscape and some things that we're doing. So yes, I keep track of who I've connected with, uh, and also just I keep a running list on a calendar that I have every week of new people I want to reach out to. And I do that over email, sometimes over phone, sometimes on Instagram, kind of wherever I've met them. I just try to follow up and say like, "Hey, do you want to grab a coffee?" I always offer to go to them, you'd be surprised by who says yes.
I love it. Such great actionable tips. Guys, do the thing. Do the networking. I
Yeah,
love it. Oh my gosh, Lauren, this has been such a great episode. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and share your story. I'm so excited to follow your journey and watch your success as it grows. Can you let everyone know who's listening where they can find and follow you?
sure. My website is houseofwindsorinteriors.com. Excuse me. And on Instagram, I'm house.of.windsor.
Beautiful. Thank you so, so much for joining me today. I know this is going to be a really great episode that's going to resonate. I didn't ask for a nugget, but I feel like you're going to have one.
I do.
What's your nugget of wisdom we can share?
Okay, so my nugget to share is if you are out there asking people to refer you, you need to practice what you preach and get out there and refer others. So I am always talking kindly about the builders and vendors and architects that I know and work with. I am liking their posts. I'm commenting on their wins and successes, and really building relationships. So it is work, but it will come back to you.
I love this. I love this. Practice what you preach, refer others. Oh, such good wisdom. No wonder you're so successful already. All right, lady, we're going to follow you. We're all following your journey. I can't wait.
Thanks,
Thanks again for
Rebecca.
joining me.
You bet.